continuing our discussion of different moral theories. Here we're going to look at virtue ethics, where the other schools of ethics have tried to ask what's the right thing to do. Virtue ethics kind of asks what's the right thing to be. How can we go about cultivating within ourselves virtues? How can we become good people? The first famous virtue ethicist was Aristotle. Aristotle, of course, writing in Greece about 2,300 years ago, somewhere thereabouts, the student of Plato. Aristotle argues that we ought to pursue our fundamental purposes. Telos, this Greek word, which pronunciation of which I'm sure I'm butchering. We ought to pursue our fundamental purpose. So, for example, the purpose of a knife is for cutting. You don't use it to hammer, unless you just can't find a hammer, and then, you got to do what you got to do. Well, that's the purpose of a human. Aristotle argues the purpose of a human is rational living. Well, we might argue humans have some other purposes, but this is kind of the fundamental purpose of people. Aristotle argues this is how people are different than other animals. We have this innate drive towards rationality, thinking about things. And Aristotle argues that virtue, cultivating this ability to do the right thing, is the highest form of rationality. And once you cultivate virtue within yourself and you achieve this highest purpose, you reach eudaimonia, a life well lived, good spirits, as the Greek translation goes. So what is this eudaimonia all about? Picture it in your head. You guys all probably know somebody that just seems to always know what to do. This person, he or she, says the right thing, they act the right way, they dress the right way, they're always taking care of themselves, they take care of others. They are the best person you've ever met in every way imaginable. We know a couple people like that. Well, that person, that's what we ought to be. Don't try and consider one specific action, whether it's right or wrong. You try to pursue the virtues. Become a person who does the right thing. And then the right thing just happens to you. You will just do it because you're the person that does the right thing. You've reached that eudaimonia. So there's a little more to it than just trying to figure out the right or wrong thing in each specific situation. You want to develop yourself into a virtuous person, and then you can be virtuous. You just do the right thing. It's almost like strength. You can try to be strong in a situation, or you can, spend day in and day out, you're hitting the gym, you're developing strength, and then when the situation arises where you got to move a couch, there's no need to really think about it. You just do it. You develop the virtues day by day, grinding yourself into this good person who pursues their rational purpose in life. And then, when the time comes that you're presented with a moral dilemma, you just do the right thing. Interesting, Aristotle takes a very critical view of duty. He says, look, it's not enough just to do the right thing because you were told it's the right thing or because you believe you're following some duty. And you can't do the right thing just because it benefits you. You have to be a good person and do the right thing. That's what morality is all about. One of the neatest ideas, one of the coolest ideas that I think Aristotle puts forward is the idea of the golden mean. He says that all virtue is a balance between two vices. Life is a big game of moderation. So what's he say? He says, bravery is a balance between being a coward, nobody wants to be a coward, and being absurdly reckless. There is nuance here. Between cowardice and recklessness, there is a virtue of bravery. And he says you can see this for all virtues. For example, I got a huge list of these kind of things up here. A vice would be to be an addict. And also, a vice would be to be a totally straight-edge, ascetic person that absolutely never has anything to drink. Well, we don't want to be either of these. We want to pursue the virtuous path, which is temperance. Okay, little bit, right? You don't want to be the person at the party that's blacked out. You don't want to be the person that's not enjoying the time with everybody else. Just a little bit, right? Moderation. You want to be honest. You don't want to be so honest that you tell the truth even when it's in inopportune times that would hurt people. And you don't want to just lie. You want to be honest. Aristotle believes that morality is developing these virtues in between the vices of excess and deficiency. You probably all know somebody that literally cannot take a break. They work all the time. Got a friend, he's an engineer, makes a bunch of money, and what's he do when he gets home? Oh, well, he runs a landscaping business. He does not take time off at all, ever. He's always working. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe he's taken this virtue a little too far. Maybe he's gone, okay, lazy, you don't want to be lazy. Industrious, we want to be hardworking. But maybe there's a little something a little too far on the other end, perhaps. So would argue Aristotle. So modern virtue theorists are going to take this idea and say, yeah, Aristotle's really onto something. You're going to live a good life if you live a virtuous life. Your intent matters. It's not just doing what's in your self-interest. It's not just doing your duty. You need to do the right thing because you're a virtuous person. As we think about evaluating this moral theory, does this agree with your experiences when you're presented moral questions? Well, yeah. The good people do the right thing. Maybe the golden mean is a good way of describing morality. Maybe everything is really about moderation and balance. Is it going to be super helpful when we're presented with a moral problem? Maybe not. I'll give you an example. You're presented with a problem. Oh no, again, we can go to this example of the money in the till and you could just take a little bit. Well, you could say, is this what a good person would do? Well, you might say no. Maybe you come to a little more nuanced problem. You're trying to explain what happened to the goldfish. Goldfish is dead. You got to explain that to your kid. Do you say, the goldfish is dead? It just sees black. It's all over for the fish. Maybe. Aristotle would say, well, you do what the virtuous person would do. Okay, what would the virtuous person do? Well, they do the right thing. Okay, what's the right thing? The right thing is the thing that the virtuous person would do. Am I really answering any of these questions? Well, no. I need to cultivate virtues. Once I have them, I'll just do the right thing naturally. But how do I know that I've reached the point of being virtuous enough to do the right thing naturally? Quite a conundrum, perhaps. Maybe we're going to argue in a circle a little bit here with Aristotle. But obviously, he's got a lot of truth to tell us about these big moral questions.